The VZ.61 Skorpion came long before the Flux Raider. How you guys doing? It's Austin with Atlas Defense. I wanted to bring out, honestly, one of my favorite guns in my collection. So this is the VZ.61 Skorpion. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's been super popular recently. All kinds of YouTubers are making videos about it. I thought I'd just make a video going over how I built it, any issues I ran into. I did use a torque receiver on this build, and I just wanted to give you a little walkthrough about it. This was a parts kit I got from K-Var. I did order the blued one, but they actually sent out the painted one, but I'm honestly a little too impatient to send it back and get the new one. So I kept the painted one, and for the receiver, I went ahead and went with torque. So there's a few receiver choices you can do. You can do the checkpoint receiver, you can do a torque receiver, and there's some 3D printed options out there as well. So my first torque receiver that I bought, pretty sure I bought that from Centerfire Systems. It actually was out of spec. So the rear dovetail where the stock went into place, you could slide it in, but the stock actually wouldn't extend all the way. So when you locked it out, it wouldn't lock into place. So if you would push up on the stock, you actually could push it past the lock because it wasn't fully engaging on the torque receiver. I reached out to them, they sent me a new one, and this one doesn't seem to have any issues. One thing I also noticed was they got rid of the engravings on the side. So any manufacturing engravings that they had on the side, they got rid of, and they put everything else on the bottom where you don't necessarily need to see it. So it makes it just a little bit more clean. This top part here, which is upper receiver, this came with the barrel already installed, so I didn't have to worry about pressing it and drilling the pin. So there's a few things you do have to modify when you get the kit in to make it semi-auto. There's a part in there you gotta cut off, which is online forums that show you how to properly cut it. And then you're also supposed to modify the hammer. In this case, I didn't modify it just because there's really no need to. It's still a semi-automatic. But overall, the torque receiver, the new one, worked better. So on this side, you'll see there's a retainer plate that holds 2 plungers and springs. One of those plungers is actually supposed to be drilled through the receiver to retain your hammer stop pin. But on the torque receivers, they don't drill that through, so you can do that. I personally didn't do that. Now you can see the pin is loose, but when you put your upper back on, there is a retainer that is on the upper receiver that prevents the pin from walking out. I also noticed that the safety definitely is a little stiff in the beginning. So as you use it, it will wear down and make it a little more easier to disengage and engage your safety. It's honestly a super simple gun though. You have safe, which locks up your bolt release and your bolt catch. The 20 on here would actually technically be the full auto if it was an actual post sample or an original. And then there is 1, which would just be semi-automatic. But it has last round bolt hold open on it. And these ones do shoot at the top. So on the machine gun variants, you may notice that on the videos, you fire all your rounds before the shell any of the shells hit the ground or any of the spent casings hit the ground, which is a pretty cool thing to see. This gun has been featured in a bunch of movies and video games. And it's just a gun that I've always wanted, and this kit came up and the receivers were available, so I decided to go ahead and build it. Due to this caliber, it's probably one of the softest shooting guns that I own. There's honestly no recoil to it. The follow-up shots are quick, and then I can show you guys the trigger reset here. It is honestly pretty good for how old this gun is. So, if you guys can see this, there's take up, break, reset, break. It is a very light trigger pull. You can get follow-up shots super quick. Another cool thing to notice is the stock actually locks into the front iron sight. So on the left and right hand side, puts pressure on your stock. So this is actually a blued stock, painted upper, and then whatever finish torque does on the receiver. So it's kind of a mix and match. It isn't an all one color. There is some companies out there that can give you that same painted look if you want to have a truly authentic style. With the limited research that I did notice that most of their military models would have had this painted finish, while the police models would have had the blued finish. I also wanted to show you guys the difference in the rounds. So on the right hand side, you have a typical 9mm, and then on the left hand side, you have the 32 ACP that is shot out of the Skorpion. So it is definitely a smaller bullet, and you could tell how it probably wouldn't do the best unless you are shooting it from the actual machine gun variant that they had back in the day. but there's the differences between the two. Another thing I'd like to mention is on the torque receivers, you can't install the rate reducer. Not that it matters too much with semi-automatic, but you can run the plunger in there, but you won't be able to run the actual hook. One question I'll probably get, but at the current time, I don't think there's any super safeties or forced, you know what I'm gonna say. I don't think there's any of those on the market. At the current time, there is people running prototypes and trying to iron it out, but there's nothing set in stone yet with one of those safeties or triggers. So not sure if you guys will be able to see this, but the iron sights, it's either 75, I think it's meters, or you can flip it down to 150 meters. And it's not a gun I would probably want to shoot at 150 meters, but there is an option there with the adjustable rear iron sight. I personally went with the torque receiver just because you can use the factory safety selector and it does have that rear dovetail. The checkpoint one is a great receiver. The finish is actually a little bit better. The downside of that, which really isn't an issue, but you do have to run their factory safety, which is a plastic safety. So if you want to keep the OEM metal safety, you want to go with the torque receiver. Unfortunately, this one's not threaded, although this would be a great suppressor host. But there is threaded barrels out there. They do have mixed reviews just due to the fact that the feed ramp geometry, people just can't get perfectly correct. So you'll realize that some people do have issues when you swap out to different US-made threaded barrels. Another thing you'll notice on these KVAR kits, the trigger guard was actually intact. So some of the parts kits, when they demill them, they cut through the trigger guard. These trigger guards are not easy to come about. So if you can find a kit that has a guard is not damaged, that's the way to go. And it's a super small rivet on the bottom that you can just, what I did is I took a wrench, sat the wrench on the bottom here, and then from the inside, I took a hammer and just peened it over. And it doesn't really need a rivet, but to complete the look, I went ahead and put the rivet in there. But that's about it. I just wanted to show you guys my VZ.61, how I built it. If you guys have any questions about the torque receivers or how to install them, or just any questions about this platform, I would love to talk to you guys in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys.